Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to Letters to Your Soul with Micky Havelock. My name is Sandra Champlain. I am the host of We Don't Die Radio. I'm also the author of a book called We Don't Die, A Skeptic's Discovery of Life After Death. I met Micky through a mutual friend, our friend Darren Wynn, and she has just published her very first book called Dying to See You, A Medium Describes Her Near-Death Experience. I interviewed her just over a week ago, and it soon became one of the top listened to episodes. There's been about 10,000 people that have already heard her story. And so one of the things she mentioned was that she does these letters to her soul. And I thought, oh, what a wonderful thing to learn. And if you're like me, we're really looking at our own spirituality. And I thought, what a delight it would be to have Micky come on, share some of her story, and talk to us about letters to our souls. In addition, Micky is a seasoned medium, but she's never done a demonstration online before. And due to COVID-19, we know many of us are housebound, and I do think that is the wave of the future. So she offered to try it out with our safe and loving group and bring through a few contacts at the end. So at the end of our about 90-minute talk here, if you'd like to stick around and send Micky and her spirit world friends a lot of love, and we will enjoy some more time with Micky. So with that, Micky, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'm right here to engage in conversation or whatever, but the floor is yours, my friend, and welcome.
Thank you. Well, it was lovely that you asked me to do this, and I think it's, we have to follow those cues for our soul. But I'm just going to start off just quickly giving anyone an introduction to me that maybe hasn't heard the podcast. I was a medium, and I was a working medium, not really fully out there. I really sort of like followed my pathway, if you like, more to do with my own journey and myself. And then my husband contracted cancer, and 6 years he battled, and for 6 years he tried his best, but the chemotherapy had just unfortunately done so much damage that we sadly lost him in 2010, which then very much left me with two teenage children and a young man who was my stepson, or is my stepson. And it all became about them, really. It became about them and seeing them through and trying to get them through the grief of losing their father. And in 2004, I had a massive heart attack and died. And I was literally found myself in A&E with my daughter, who was only 16 at the time. And I was in so much pain, I just didn't know what to do with myself. And they kept reassuring me that it wasn't my heart, and they weren't really sure exactly what was going on. So they were going to go and arrange for a camera down the throat to see whether I had some sort of ulcer or something. So the doctor walked away, and I remember turning to my daughter and saying to her, I just feel so lightheaded, and I need to give you a heads up that I think I'm going to pass out. And she'd walked round to my bed to go and get some water. And on her way back round, she said she turned to look at me, and my eyes had rolled into the back of my head. My whole body had gone into seizures, and the machines were going crazy. I'd bitten right through my tongue. And she started shouting for help. And she said, and then suddenly all the machines just stopped, you went still, and everything flatlined. And then I was being pulled off in one direction. She was being pulled off in another direction. But for me, the experience of that was very different. And if you don't mind, I would like to read you the small chapter that just starts at the beginning of when all this happens. And the reason why I'd like to share that chapter with you is because I feel it's a very good example of connection. And I think before we move on to Letters of Your Soul and what have you, it's important to understand that connection.
I think that's great. So, show us the front of your book, because it's beautiful.
I have the book here.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
So I'm just gonna read you the chapter. It's chapter 2, and it's called Reunion. So, and you'll have to excuse me because I've got all this set up. So I've got all my notes down one side and everything down the other, so I don't forget anything for you. So my reality was very different. Straight after telling my daughter that I was about to pass out, I turned over on the bed and my husband was standing there, looking just like he did when I first met him. All my pain was gone, and I had a rush of excitement at seeing him again. I leapt off the bed, straight into his arms. With my head nestled in his chest, I took a deep breath and drank in his familiar scent. His all-powerful arms wrapped around me. My senses were heightened. I felt more alive than ever, bursting with an overwhelming overload of unconditional love. Ian looked me in the eyes and with a huge smile on his face, said, "Come on, I've got lots to show you." Although I heard his words, his lips never moved and his smile remained. Odd as that may seem, it felt so natural and familiar. He took my hand, and as we turned, I realized I was no longer in the hospital. There was no fear. The overwhelming, unconditional love was all-consuming. There was brilliance to everything. Colours seemed to be more defined. As the scenery opened up around us, we were in what appeared to be a countryside. Huge fields of the most mind-blowing hues of greens, yellows, and lavenders. I pulled his hand and I made him stop. I just needed time to take it all in. My whole being was experiencing a mix of emotions. This all felt familiar and comfortable, and yet at the same time, it was all new and exciting. I was full of questions. How can I see such brightness and brilliance of colours, and yet my eyes are not hurt by it? It was brighter than the brightest of summer days, those days when you need sunglasses to protect your eyes and avoid squinting. Except that this brightness did not affect my eyes. Ian laughed. Because the light here is very different from the light of the sun that you're used to. Here, Micky, there's no need for sunglasses, unless, of course, you want them to look cool. His familiar laugh made my heart sing, but I was suddenly aware that I wasn't just hearing his laugh. I was feeling it in every fibre of my being. It felt like it was dancing inside me. This led to a massive giggling fit, and as the two of us laughed, the brilliance surrounding us grew even brighter. How? Why? What is going on? I stammered. Micky, we affect everything around us. It's the same in your world. It's just that you can't see it like you can here. Now, I've always been aware that our energy has a ripple effect on our environment and the people we're connected to. And although I understood this, here I was actually seeing it happen. Wow. I suddenly had a much deeper, clearer understanding. As our laughter subsided, I watched in awe as the brilliance turned down a notch. I took off, running and leaping about in this amazing field of long golden grass. It was soft and gentle as it brushed against my legs, just like when I was a child. I was running with an abundance of energy. There was no breathlessness, no fatigue, light and airy. I bounded through the field, squealing with delight. Ian's laughter was ricocheting through my soul, spurring me on. As I reached a beautiful stream, I stopped and turned around to see where Ian was. He was still standing where I'd left him, and yet I could hear his laughter as if he was beside me. Beckoning him to come over, I turned back to look at the stream. The water gently caressed the pebbles as it flowed over them. It shimmered in the light, and with every glistening sparkle, it felt alive. I knelt down and dipped my hand into the cool, pure water. As my hand touched it, I felt its life force connecting with me. The tingling sensation crept up my arm, and I felt it course through me. Ian appeared beside me. Pretty neat, hey? It's amazing, I replied. As I was connected to the water, so the water was connecting with me. The flow slowed, and it felt like it wanted to slow, to take its time, running over my hand so that it could explore me as much as I was exploring it. It felt like it was a mutual exchange. It wanted to absorb my energy just as much as I was absorbing it. Ian put his hand over mine and everything changed again. The water flowed even slower and a gentle whirlpool formed around our hands. I was now filled with his energy, my energy, and the water's energy. It was so intense, I thought I would burst. I've learnt a lot since I've been here, Mick, said Ian. Look at this water. It flows along its path, taking every bend, pebble, and stone in its stride. No matter what gets in its pathway, it will reach its destination, absorbing the detail along the way. Even if a huge boulder blocks its path, it will find a way. A dam could be built and the water will eventually rise and overflow the dam. It finds a way. Tears formed in my eyes as I felt the struggle the water had faced on its journey. This is ridiculous, I thought. I'm crying over water. But I wasn't. I was aware that it related to life, to any life, to everyone's life. As my tears fell into the water, Ian squeezed my hand tight. You have just enriched the water by adding a few drops of your energy into it. I sat up and stared deep into Ian's eyes. I was searching for confirmation. Ian would never have spoken this way. I had always known there was a depth and a sensitivity to him. He'd revealed it to me many times throughout our relationship. But now here it was in its purest form. He nudged me affectionately. Oh, don't worry. I can still tease you and be the bugger I always was. I hadn't said a word. He'd read my thoughts and responded. At that moment, it dawned on me how easily I had accepted that his mouth didn't move when he spoke. He had heard my thoughts so obviously that I must be hearing his. And you're a bloody psychic medium, he joked. There he was, the joker. He was teasing me for questioning how I was hearing him. It reinforced how all this felt normal and familiar, and yet so new and exciting at the same time. We lay by the stream looking up at what I can only describe as a majestic sky. The colours seemed to move like waves, ever changing, ever moving. You see, Ian said, it's not rocket science really. It's simple. Everything affects everything. I've come to realise how I affected you at times. The times when I would be insensitive or not there when you needed me. How self-absorbed I became throughout my illness. The hard times I put you through, and for that I'm deeply sorry. It's okay, I replied. I know, but I still needed to tell you I'm sorry. I was a jerk at times, but I truly love you. And I know you forgave me, but still. His voice trailed off. You know, Ian, I'm quite sure there were times that I affected you, and for that I'm sorry too. Good, now that's all out the way. Shall we move on? He laughed. As I felt his laughter rush through me, I thought to myself how I never wanted to get used to this feeling. I loved how it felt and how excited it made me feel. He jumped up, grabbed my hand and pulled me to my feet. I looked around in surprise. The scenery had completely changed, and yet we hadn't moved.
That's beautiful. I'm sure if I speak for everybody, we could listen to you read the entire book. Do you have the book in audio yet?
No.
Well, that's the next thing I'll encourage you to do. Show you the way.
Okay.
The must.
Okay.
Thank you, Micky.
But the reason I wanted to share that particular chapter is that example of connection, the fact that we are connected to everything and that we do affect everything. And it's important to realize that our soul is at one with everything that is. And we're not separate from each other. We're not separate from the energy of everything it is. We're not separate from those that have passed. We are all completely connected. And it's that we can, I think beforehand there was a belief, and I believed in this connection, and I believed in that things affected everything, and that there's a ripple effect on everything. But it wasn't until after this experience that I truly knew about that connection. And to really, it's as much as it's subtle, it's a huge difference between belief and knowing. And it's that, and it's one of the things that I love to help people to understand their own connection with their soul, because I think our souls get buried underneath everything. It gets buried underneath pain, hurt, learned behavior, experiences that we've had along the way in our journey, and it gets buried underneath everything. And we have to sort of unpick those walls of protection that we've built around our soul to allow our true, authentic soul back up to the surface. If you look at a newborn baby, their soul is so pure and untouched, and it has nothing but love in its heart. It doesn't understand hate. It doesn't understand jealousy. It doesn't understand anger. It just knows that what it needs to survive. And that instinct of a baby to know where to get its food and how to ask by crying, etc. And if you look at the animal kingdom, you know, these babies are born and they know to suckle their mother to get their nutrients and to get what they need to grow and to become strong. That's not because somebody's told them or taught them. It's because their instinct knows, because that's their soul. It's their true, authentic self. And I think that's one of the things for me, is watching people really be able to learn how to connect with their soul. Our heads become our biggest saboteurs and our biggest problem to battle against, because as fast as our soul is saying, move this way is good for you, our head goes, you're not good enough for that. What are you doing going down there? You can't do that. Who do you think you are? And this is our head. It's our head talking, because some things happened along the way that made us feel hurt or uncomfortable. And our head, our subconscious, wants to jump in and protect us. And goes, oh, don't go down there. You might get that same feeling. No, don't go down there. And it's important that we have that mindset, that inner voice that says, danger, careful, don't do that, be careful. It's important that we have that, but it gets out of control and it becomes so loud that it drowns out our soul. And if we understand the connection with our soul, then we understand that our soul knows everything it needs to know. It knows what's right for us. It knows what's safe for us. It knows our connection to everything. It knows that we can tap into anything and obtain the answers we need. We can tap into that soul and feel our loved ones close by us, even though they're no longer here. We don't have to be mediums or working mediums to feel that connection. But what happens is we become so much in our minds, and then we want to control it. And then we want to create it. And then our mind starts going, I really want to feel that my loved one. I really want to feel my son, my daughter, my mother, my father, my grandparents. I want to feel them. And then we start trying. And as soon as we start trying, we start blocking, because it's all from the mind. When we're trying, when we're thinking, it's coming from the mind. Whereas when we calm down and we connect with our soul, and allow ourselves to really drop down into that peaceful place that is so full of warmth and love and connected to the whole universe, everything is right there at our fingertips. By just asking, I need help with this. I need the answer to this. I don't know how to do this. Can you help me? I'm putting it out there, but just putting it out there and then letting go. Let's not control how we get the answer back. Trust in that universal connection to know that that answer is coming back to us. And that answer can come back in many different ways and unexpected ways. But if we're looking for it in a certain way, we're going to miss it. Because if we're so busy looking over here going, I'm sure the answer, I need the answer to come this way. This is the way I want it to come. Then we don't see it because it's happening over here and we're looking the other way. So, but if we're trusting from our soul and we're really allowing our soul to do that blending, then naturally it comes in, it hits us with such a subtlety. But by recognizing that subtlety, it then builds and becomes, and then it just becomes that warm feeling that's just like that big hug. And whether you feel it as a tingle up your spine, or the hairs all standing up on your arms, or just that warm embrace, like somebody's just put a lovely warm duvet around you, then it's there, isn't it? And it's that connection. But if we're in our head, we can miss that. And our loved ones, I personally think our loved ones work very hard in constantly trying to reassure us. Wouldn't you? You know, if it was me and I was the other side but stayed the other side, I'd want to cuddle my kids. I'd want to reassure them. I'd want to let my parents know it's okay, I'm okay. And you know that we're close and we're tight and we're okay. So I think it's learning how to go and how to blend with our soul. The other side of that is, where do you feel connected to your soul? How do we feel connected to your soul? It's all very well saying, get your head out the way. Just get your head out the way. And it's like, just get out your own way. It's fine. But how do you do that? How do you get out of the way? How do you move your head and allow your soul to come to the surface? And where do you feel that? I truly believe that we, just as we are all unique individuals and have all our own personalities and our own little traits and our own little, we'll all feel that connection to our soul in different places, because we aren't all the same. And we might feel it in our heart chakra, we might feel it in our solar plexus, we might feel it in our sacral. And some of us might start off by feeling it in our heart, and then the more comfortable we get, we then start feeling everything from our solar plexus, and then the more comfortable we get, we start to feel it from our sacral. So I think it's about getting to know who you are. We're very good at looking at everybody else and working out why somebody does something, or why somebody is a certain way they are, and how they operate, but we're not very good at looking internally at ourselves. So it's a journey, and it's a journey to begin to find out, who are we and how do I feel things? Because even mediums, there's many different mediums out there, and I guarantee every single medium works differently, because we're just as unique and individual as ourselves as we are in the way we work, in the way we feel, in the way we get our messages, in the way we blend. So it's important to get to know who you are and where your soul comes from. So is there any questions on that before we move on to just a little meditation?
Oh, that's great. We've got a comment. God bless you. We have a hand up. Should we take a question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we have Nick. You have your hand up. I don't know if you have your hand up, Nick. I don't mean to be rude about that, but every so often, new on Zoom, it's, how do we?
Yeah.
So let's see if Nick has a question. If not, we shall go on. Just takes a second to promote somebody. Hello, Nick. Nick? No, maybe not. He's unmuted. He's muted himself. No problem. Saw your hand up, Nick. Micky, I just wanted to ask, you told a beautiful memory of being with your husband. Were there other people as well that were there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got to meet all four of my grandparents and a dear aunt of mine. that had passed. So I got to meet all of them. And
Oh,
each one of them took me on a different journey. So each one of them took me on a journey to show me what they choose to do to fill their time the other side. Because, you know, it's one of those, isn't it? We always use that phrase, rest in peace, but life continues and the growth continues and everything that we're learning continues. So they're still busy, they're still doing things, they're still getting on with daily life, if you like, and going and taking part in different things.
oh, that's
So,
wonderful.
yeah.
Karen's got her hand up. We'll take Karen's question and then we'll move on. And there'll be more time for questions a little bit later as well. Just takes a moment for her to show. Hello, Karen.
Hello, hi. Hello.
Hi.
I wanted to ask, when you'd flatlined, and
Yeah.
obviously you weren't aware that you were on a different vibration with your husband, etc., and you'd met with your family and you'd met with your husband, and they took you on different journeys.
Yeah.
I know you can't say how long was this, but when you came back, because there's no time and spirit, when you came back, were you aware of the time that lapsed, or your
No.
family?
I think, I mean, my family were aware of how long I was in a different room to them. That really doesn't kind of mean anything, because obviously the medical team were working on me for some time. And I've never looked into exactly how long I was flatlined for, if you like, because for me, it's not important what the physical body was going through, because it was my soul's journey. I think it really made me aware that this physical body really is just a vehicle for our souls to be transported around on while we're here.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Oh, there's something that I meant to ask you when I interviewed that I forgot. It's common, I found, for people who've had near-death experiences to have the memory of their near-death experience be more vivid and clear than any other memory from our past. Did
Absolutely.
you find the same thing? Can you, as you were reading that, can you remember it just?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is nothing that I experienced over there that I can't now take the time to sit and replay in my soul, in my mind, and feel everything just the same as I was feeling it when I was there.
Fascinating.
It's just amazing. And I say, like, that it's that connection. And there's another example of like when we were talking about how we ask for signs, and a perfect one of me looking this way for the sign when it was actually happening over here was actually at my husband's funeral. So the day of my husband's funeral, I took some time out in the garden by myself before the funeral, and I had a little chat with him. And I said, listen, I need to know that you're okay, and I need to know that the funeral was exactly how you wanted, because we knew he had his things that he wanted to take place. So I was like, I need to know that I've done you proud, I've done you justice, and I'm going to tell you, I want the sign to be a white dove. I don't care how you deliver it to me, but I want a dove of peace. And the funeral took place, and obviously you're swept up in all the emotions of that, and carrying on. And the funeral was such that we had speakers outside of the building for people that couldn't get into the building to hear what was going on outside. And you just, as anybody who knows, your emotions are just overtaking you. And it wasn't until later on that night that I was sat and I thought, I never got my dove. I never got my dove of peace. And I was like having this chat with him going, okay, that's okay. I don't mind. It's been a busy day. I'll let you off. But can you make sure I get it soon, please? Just demanding. And then it was probably a couple of weeks later, I woke up one morning and I was having a really bad morning. I woke up, and as anybody who knows with grief, you have the waves of all the different emotions. And this morning I was in angry mode. And I literally got up in the morning and I was stomping around, and I came downstairs and I put the kettle on, and it was a Sunday morning, very early in the morning. And I'm stomping around my kitchen. I'm having this rant to him, and I'm saying, well, I never got my dove, so I don't know whether you were happy with it or not. I'm taking the fact that I didn't have my dove that you're obviously not. And I'm having this rant, and I'm telling him, it wasn't much to ask for, was it? I'm like a child. I'm like a 2-year-old stamping my feet. Was it really too much to ask for? But I just got a little dove, just a little white dove. Don't care how it came, just a little white dove. And the phone started to ring, and I thought, now I'm even more angry. It's Sunday morning. Who on earth is phoning me at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday? So I answer the phone, and it's one of my husband's friends. And I'm like, yes, do you know what time it is? And he's like, yes, it's 8 o'clock in the morning, but listen, I've got to tell you something. I was stood outside the funeral, and there was something that I saw that I keep meaning to say to you, but I haven't got round to it. And this morning I've been woken up. I cannot get back to sleep until I have this conversation with you. So I just thought, I'm just going to phone and hope. He said, I didn't think you'd be up. I just thought I'd be able to leave a message on your answer phone and leave you to it. I was like, right, okay, what was it? He said, I was stood outside, and when you stood up with the children to talk, this beautiful white dove took off from the Garden of Remembrance and circled the crematorium 4 times and then flew away. And he said, Micky, it was the most beautifully put together, perfect white dove. Now, the guy in question is a bird expert. And he said to me, I've got to tell you, it is unusual to see a dove at this time of the year because they shouldn't be around. And he said, I kept meaning to mention it to you, thinking you might think it's, and I was just like, no, thank you. I'm so happy that you've told me this. And I was elated. And it was like, I got my message. And I put the phone down, and I remember saying to him, so it took me having a tantrum to get, to get the message.
Oh, that's beautiful. You got tears in my eyes. Yeah.
By putting out that message, that sign was given, just took its time to get to me. That's all, But we get into that control mode. I want it, and I want it now. And I want it today. And I didn't get it that day, but I got it 2 weeks later. So, yeah. It's just important to remember that that connection is there, and they are listening, and they will respond, and they will try and desperately to get their message to you. We just have to trust. Let it go and know it's going to come back to us. So, should we do a little meditation?
I say yes.
Yay. So, I just want to do a very brief meditation. It's only probably going to be for about 15 minutes. But it's just to enable you to be able to connect with your soul and find out where is your connection to your soul. And like I said before, if you feel when I guide you to your soul that you sit in your heart, whether you sit in your solar plexus, whether you sit in your sacral, it's fine. There is no wrong. You are right no matter where it feels comfortable for you. And it's important to remember that. Don't try and force anything. Don't try and make anything. And for those that aren't used to meditating or find it difficult to meditate, just relax. You're going to hear external noises. Just let them go. You're going to have thoughts wander in. Just let them drift away. So just get yourselves comfortable. And know that whatever feels right for you is right for you. And just take 3 nice deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And just allow your breathing to fall into its natural rhythm. Any external noises around you, just let them be. Any thoughts that you have wandering in, just let them drift on by. Allow your physical body to relax, letting go of any tension. Just feel yourself relaxing. Follow the natural rhythm of your breathing. Using your imagination, just allow your mind to slowly drop down to your soul. Within that space that feels comfortable, within your soul sits the spark of the divine. Just allow that spark to ignite. Feel that flame glowing brighter and brighter, filling your whole being. Just know that this is your authentic soul. Everything that is pure and good. Just allow it to keep getting brighter and brighter, filling your whole being. Now just see it expanding, filling the whole of the room you're sitting in. Just feel the love and the warmth that is your soul. You are love. You are connected to all that is. Know this. Feel this. You are one with everything that is, everything that was, and the potential of all that is to come. Take the time within this warmth and love to send out your gratitude, your prayers, your hopes, your messages of love. Now, slowly but surely, just allow yourself, still in that warmth, surrounded with that love, just allow yourself to become aware of the room you're sitting in, the chair beneath your feet, the ground beneath your feet. Just become aware of where you're sat. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Lean back with her. Just grab yourself a little drink of water. Have a little stretch. You're all right, Sandra.
I just gave Micky the thumbs up. Thank you.
So it was only a short meditation, but it's enough to sometimes, especially if we're not used to meditating, the thought of sitting in that energy for too long becomes overwhelming. And it's okay to start with shorter meditations. It's also okay to only takes a short time to really just allow ourselves to drop down and connect with our souls. And I'm hoping that as many of you as possible were able to feel the warmth and the love within your own soul and to connect with your true, authentic self. So we're going to move on to Letters to Your Soul, which is a method that I use and have used for many years to do with connecting with my soul and to allow myself to express and to really find out what's going on within my soul. Because again, it's that bringing that attention back to self. And I find pen and paper works the best because the flow is uninterrupted. And who cares if you get a word wrong or the spelling wrong or scribble a word out? It doesn't matter, because the only person that's going to see it is you. And it's a conversation that you're having between you and your authentic soul. So it's just, when we start to write a letter to our soul, it's allowing it to flow. And sometimes when we might start by writing, I don't know what to write. I know I'm writing to my soul, but I haven't got a clue what to say. And that's okay. Just start. Just whatever's on your mind, whatever you're feeling, just allow it to go. Because if we get those mind thoughts out of the way, our soul starts to push through. And then we start getting to write these things down that comes to the nitty gritty. And then we start to realize, oh, I didn't realize that was there. And I didn't realize I was still holding on to that. And, oh, where did that come from? And actually, I didn't realize that I felt that way about this subject or that subject or this particular. So I'm just going to go through in the different ways if you want to make notes for something to utilize for yourself, because I think it's, if I was in a class environment, this is where everyone would sort of go off to their own tables and sit and have those, and write those things down. But I think online it's a bit awkward to do that. So if I just go through the different ways in which you can utilize it, then it's up to you then how you personally want to make the most of it. So the first and foremost is a daily check-in. So we can do a daily check-in with ourselves and we can just have that conversation with ourselves. How are you feeling today? How's today gone? What did you handle well today? So we experience many things throughout the day, and sometimes we can have short patience, or we get cross, or we get angry about things, or we get a little bit frustrated with things. So we just put down, how are we feeling today? What did we handle well today? What's always important for me is that always start off with positives. Then we're going to put the not so positives in the middle, and then we're always going to finish with a positive. I do have a name for it, but I won't use it here. It's a something sandwich. So we start off with the positives. So how am I feeling today? What did we handle well today? Then we're going to look at what could we have done better. This happened today and it triggered me. Why did it trigger me? Where does that trigger come from? Why did I feel that way? And just, so you're asking the questions, you're answering yourself, you're allowing your soul to just allow it to flow. And even if you think, well, that's not right, that's not how I think, that's not how my mind thinks, write it down anyway, because this isn't about what our head thinks and what our mind thinks, it's about what our soul thinks. It's about what our soul says. So we start writing those things down. And we look at those trigger points. Where did that come from? Why does that happen that way? Why did it trigger me so badly? What can I do to address that, to change the way I feel about that? And then we'll all start off with, well done for achieving this today, or that today, or well done for handling that so well today. So always make sure that we start with the positive, we end with the positive, and anything that we felt uncomfortable about during the day, let's put that in the middle and really take time to really sort of look at that and explore, what does our soul feel about that? How does our soul feel about that? So moving my notes. So other ways that we can use those letters to the soul is, I don't know about you, Sandra, but you know, we can all have those days where we feel like we're angry with everything. You know, when you get in your car, you drive down the road, and a lot of the time, the guy that cuts you up, it doesn't really bother you. You're just kind of like, ugh, whatever. And you're singing along to the radio, you don't care. Carefree, it's great. And other days, the guy that cuts you up on the road and everything else is every expletive under the sun, and get frustrated about everything. And every time I pick something up in the kitchen, I drop it and it smashes, or I break this, or we just have those days, don't we? And we feel like we're angry, and we're angry about everything, and we're angry about anyone and everything. And it's just about taking that time to sit down. And sometimes it can take a few days of writing this same letter to go over. And it's like, I feel frustrated because I'm angry at whoever, whatever, for doing, saying. Why did they do that? And as much as we're asking those questions, what am I angry about? What am I frustrated about? And then we start answering them. I'm angry because, just let it flow. Again, just let it flow. Get out of the way. Don't question anything. It can be something minute that somebody frustrated us with, something they did or said that we hadn't even realized that we'd taken it on board, stored it, squirreled it away in our little subconscious to go, I'm coming back to haunt you later and give you a hard time over that. But it's looking at it and saying, and then answering those questions. Why did they do that? Maybe they did that because. Let's find the kind excuses as to why somebody might behave a certain way, but always with kindness. Let's look at the kindness, and that kindness could be as simple as, they don't know any better. It's the way they have learned behavior, their own experiences in life have made them defensive, combative, protective, needs to defend themselves all the time, whatever it is. But let's be kind at the way we look at why they could be that way. And it doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong. This is your conversation with your soul. It's about learning to come with love, learning to push back with love, learning to look at everything and come back to everything that frustrates us, angers us, upsets us with love. So it's looking at those, I'm angry at for saying, why did they say that? Maybe because they're having a hard day. Maybe there's things going on in their life that I'm not aware of. Maybe something's happened today that I'm not privy to. Because let's be honest, as much as we think we know somebody, we don't know everything about what's internally going on. That battle within that I struggled with after coming back from my journey, I think I hid quite well for probably a good 12 to 18 months before it started to bubble over onto the surface and I couldn't hide it anymore. And those closest to me could see that I wasn't coping with anything. But up until then, I'd been hiding it. So we don't know what's going on in someone's life. And that guy that just cut you up, he could be racing to get to the hospital because a loved one's dying. We don't know. He might not. He might just be a bleep. But who are we to, we don't know that. So let's always come with kindness and when we're looking at those things. Another way of writing those letters, and sometimes, like I said, we have to write these letters sometimes over a whole week of every day, taking that time to sit down and write those letters when we're angry or upset, to really just keep going until we're exhausted and there's nothing more to put down on the paper that I'm holding on to. Another way to use the letters to the soul is when we're upset, you know, and it's I'm sad about, and putting down what we're sad about, and then giving ourselves permission. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel sad because, and then looking at things and saying, what's in my control? What can I do to change my sadness that I'm in control of? What can I do to handle that situation that makes me so sad? Be kind to self. As much as we've got to be kind to other people and to understand why other people are coming a certain way, we also have to be kind to ourselves. We've got to learn to be our own best friend. And if your best friend came to you and said, I'm really sad about this and I hate feeling like this and I've just got to get over it and I've got to get myself together and I've got to sort this out, you'd be kind and you'd say, hey, give yourself a break. It's okay. You're going to feel sad. Look at what you've gone through. Look at what you've dealt with recently. It's okay to feel that way. We have to be kind to ourselves. Let's be our own best friend. When we're confused about something and we're looking for answers, this is another way to use those letters to the soul. Let's start writing them down. I'm struggling to understand this. I know the answer is here, but I can't see it clearly right now. Because it's understanding that if our soul is connected to everything that is, then every answer is at the tips of our fingers. We just have to learn to access it. We just have to learn to put it out there and say, hey, I need to understand this more. I need the answer to this. And putting it out to the universe and letting it go. And when we let it go, those answers come back. It might take a couple of weeks, but the answers always come back in. It could be a phone call with a friend that you just happen to be having and they go, hey, have you heard about such and such a book that explains about, and you're like, there. That's the answer I was looking for. Or they're talking to you about an experience they had, which gives you the answer that you were looking for. So it's putting it out there and putting those questions out and saying, I know the answer will come. And I'm saying to your soul, I'm giving you my questions as I know you will have the answers. I know you will have the answers. It's trusting that. Letting it go and knowing those answers will come back through signs, inspiration. You could be doing something totally mundane, washing up, doing a bit of gardening, whatever it is that just drifts your mind away, and the answer will just sometimes drift through and you suddenly like stop and it's like, that's it. That's what I've been looking for. So it's just understanding to put it out there and let it go. Forgiveness. Now that's a huge one. I think over my time I've found it's a tricky subject that people find really hard to get their heads around, is forgiveness. And it's like, well, why should I forgive somebody else? Because, you know, it's wrong that they should have made me feel this way. And it's like, well, actually, we're not forgiving the act or the deed that they did. Because if it's really bad, then we're not going to say that's okay. We're not saying that. We're not saying it's okay to have done what you did or to have said what you said. What we're saying is, I'm no longer prepared to carry around the pain that action or those words caused me. There's a huge difference. And it's being able to sit down and just write that letter and say, I forgive you for the pain that you've caused. I forgive you for doing what was right for you, but I expected you to do something different. Because we can have expectations on other people, to expect them to behave in a certain way, to expect them to do a certain thing, or to reach out to us when we're sad, or to do this because that's what you would do for them. But they're not you. They're their own individual people, and we are all unique and individual. We need to forgive somebody for not doing what we expected them to do. And then we have to learn to forgive ourselves. And one of my favorite ones is, I forgive myself for claiming the burden and taking it on when you had left it behind, straight after the words fell from your mouth or the action was done. I chose to pick it up. You know, we choose to take that on board, and we choose to make it our own, do we not? How many times do we, you know, decide that somebody else's actions, which is just demonstrating who they are, but we decided to take it on board and make it personal to ourselves and decide it's all about us. And it's like, it's not ours to pick it up. It's not ours to carry it. Let it go. And I forgive myself for not being ready to let go of some of the pain I carry around. We have to be kind to ourselves to understand I'm not ready to let that pain go. And sometimes grief is one of those examples that it takes time to be ready to let that pain go. We have to feel it, we have to experience it, and sometimes it just takes time to let that go. And that's okay. Let's be kind to ourselves. It's okay that I'm not ready yet to let all of that pain go. I let a little bit go, and tomorrow I might let a little bit more go, but I'm not ready to let everything go right now. Another way is love and healing. To write that letter of love and healing to ourselves, to others. I'm sending from my soul the love and healing for Margaret, who's having a hard time, who's going through a difficult time right now. I want to send that love and healing out to Margaret so that she feels better, so that she feels my love and my warmth surround her. And that love and healing to self. I love and I give myself love and healing today because I struggled, and that's okay. I wrap myself with love. I'm feeling under the weather today. I'm sending you oodles of healing and allowing you to sit in that healing energy, to just soak it up like a big bubble bath of healing energy that just makes us feel all nice and snug. Healing out to the planet, love and healing to the planet right now. I mean, especially with everything that's going on with, you know, COVID-19 and being in the middle of all of this, it came to me the other day that as we're looking at this disease, this virus, that we're thinking about it with such this negativity and this fear and all this fear that's based around it. How about we send it love and healing? Let's send love and healing to the virus, because how can it survive if it's surrounded and swallowed up with all that love and healing and that love energy? It can't, right? So, and last but not least, another way to use our letters to the soul is soul to soul. And that's letters to our loved ones that have passed. To have that conversation with them. To be able to sit and write that letter to, you know, for me, from my example, say my husband, hi Ian, today this happened. Today the kids did this. You would have been so proud. You are proud. I know you're proud. It's having that conversation so that we feel that we're having that conversation and allowing the answers to flow onto the paper that our soul gives us back. I know you'd have been so proud. I am so proud. Write it all down as the words flow through your mind. Just let them flow. Let's not think about it. Just allow it to be. Have that conversation with your loved one and let it be that letter. And that's my last but not least way of using letters to your soul. That's how I use them. So I don't know if anybody's got any questions, Sandra, or how you feel about that.
Oh, I'm very touched and I'm very moved. And something that I was thinking was that when we start writing, and you know, I'm not perfect. You guys, anybody who's seen one of my shows or anything?
No one is.
You see the good side, right? So there's that other side. And it just, you know, I just got for myself when I start writing, and so I may not have the answer. I might have a frustration. But then I think if I look for myself and just say, how would my best friend answer me? Because we are our best friend, and then that's our soul, and just have at it. Just write.
Yeah.
I think it may be hard. I'm just speaking for myself, for my mind to shut off and my soul to kick in, but maybe just say, how would my best friend answer me? Because our soul is our best friend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're not kind enough to ourselves. You know, we're so terrible at beating ourselves up, are we not? You know, we can have a great day, but we're going to pick up the one thing that we didn't quite get right. And that's what's going to play on our mind. And then we're going to beat ourselves up over it. And it's like, let's change that. Let's change that mindset. Let's change that. Our soul would not beat ourselves up like that. Our soul is nothing but love.
And I like how you have the sandwich, because I realize, you know, we very rarely as humans pat ourselves on the back for the good things that we've done. We beat ourselves up for the things we haven't done. And so to give ourselves well done, or these little things here or there, it's really wonderful. Micky, I wanted to ask, do we need to do any kind of meditation before we do this, or can we just dive in anytime?
Do you know what? Here's the more you get comfortable with it, the more you'll just be able to sit down. Just take a few minutes, even if it's not a meditation, just take a few minutes. Just take those 3 deep breaths to just control our breathing, to just slow everything down, just allow our body to relax, just allow our mind to drift. And then when we feel ready, just start writing. And like I say, you might start writing and it's just a load of gobbledygook to begin with, or it's just, I don't know what to write. And it doesn't matter. Just keep going and just let it come. Your soul is going to respond. Your soul knows what you're trying to do. And it loves the fact that it's got the opportunity to be heard. And it's going to jump to that and go, yes. And it's just going to come. We just need to just take a few minutes before you start the writing to just take that moment, to just let go of everything that we're holding on to, just relax. So I think I'd say that it doesn't have to be a meditation, but just a few minutes to just drop down to our soul, wherever that feels comfortable for you, and just see that and feel that warmth and that love just flowing through you, and just becoming, you're just becoming your soul. You're allowing it to express itself.
That's really lovely. I have this picture of my soul always being with me, saying, oh, no, let her do what she needs to do. But right here. And then finally, all of a sudden, the letters, it's like, yes, I can tell. Yes, I can tell her. Yes. It's really funny. We have Karen here. And Karen, do you have a question for Micky?
Yes, please. I want, you know, we have the aspect of our higher self, and we've got our soul, and the higher self and the soul are connected. Would you say that you're working from both together, or is it just the soul?
I mean, for me, Karen, your soul is your higher self. It's what's connected to everything that is. And, you know, from both aspects, they are connected to absolutely everything that is. And it's just allowing it to express and allowing that soul to come through. When you're coming from there, you'll feel that connection to all that is.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
If others have questions, either you can type it in the Q&A box or just raise your virtual hand. There's a question coming in from Maddie, who says, when someone says, leave your ego at the door when trying to connect, what does that mean exactly?
So For me, I would say your ego is the one that wants to be in control. It wants to, it's where your mind then starts jumping in and wanting to control the way it goes, to control the way you're seen, to control the outcome of everything. Your ego is also important because it needs to keep you safe. But that ego jumps in and goes, oh, well, you're feeling it from there, and that's not right. You shouldn't be feeling it from there, because really your soul is here, not there. And our ego wants to ask those, put those barriers in our way and start to play mind games with us. So for me, it's like leaving our ego at the door. You know what? It's not about getting it right. It's not about getting it wrong. Who cares if you get it wrong? This is about your connection with the soul. Leave your ego at the door. So it doesn't matter if you get it wrong. It doesn't matter if you sit and nothing comes on the paper. It doesn't matter, because tomorrow you'll sit down and you'll give your soul another go, and you'll give it another chance. So for me, that would be what leaving your ego at the door would mean.
Lovely. And I think of ego. I think first thing when I wake up in the morning and look at my wild hair and whatever, there's nastiness that comes in the autopilot ego. And what would it be like for all of us without that? And that is something we have to look forward to when our last breath comes, because that voice does not come with us. But I think that's what it means to leave the ego at the door. Who do you see in the mirror? That wonderful, wonderful things. Micky, I wanted to ask you, how has your life improved by writing your letters to your soul?
I think for me, one of the biggest ways it's improved is I really learned how to get to know myself, because I was surprised at some of the stuff that was coming up. And I was like, oh, I thought I'd dealt with that. But actually, I came to realize that what I'd actually done is just dealt with a layer of that, because sometimes there's many layers to any particular pain or hurt that we carry around. And it's working our way through those layers. And so many times I hear people say, but I've already worked on that. I worked on all of that. I dealt with that years ago. Well, you might have dealt with a layer of it, but it's coming back up for a reason, because there's another layer that needs to be worked on and worked through. So I think for me, it started to really teach me, wow, I didn't realize that when that happened at school, it affected me that way. And that I've actually carried it through in my life. And the same way in a positive. Actually, I didn't realize that when that happened, actually gave me more confidence moving forward. And although I saw that as a bad thing at the time, it's actually been a blessing in disguise. So it's exploring ourselves. It's getting to know ourselves. When we meet somebody new, we like to ask loads of questions, don't we? We get to know them. Who are you? What do you do? What do you do for a job? How do you start to learn how they feel about something, what their opinions are on something? Well, how about doing that yourself? Because we think we know ourselves, but when we really start connecting with our soul and allowing our soul to express itself, then we start to go, oh, gosh, I didn't realize that. And being open enough that if you've got a really good friend who turns around to you and says, hey, you're being a bit, and you go, oh, am I? Not to become defensive, but to take time to sit back and go, oh, was I a bit harsh with that? Where was I looking with that? Why am I looking at that way? And allowing ourselves to explore it, rather than our ego that wants to defend ourselves and say, I'm not like that at all. Don't be like that with me. And it's like, I don't want to be seen like that. Well, we're human. None of us are perfect.
Absolutely. We've got a comment from Drew who says, I love your wisdom. And then also Gary says, he's talking about the ego. It's also the one that says, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all have that. And then there's a question from Claire. What is the difference between the soul and spirit?
Wow, not a lot really, as far as I'm concerned. Your soul is your spirit. Your soul is transported around in this physical body. And when we die, we kind of shake off that vehicle and just step out. And our soul carries on into the spirit world and then becomes known as spirit. So for me, soul and spirit are one of the same. Our soul is our spirit, whether you're talking to your soul or your own spirit. We just refer to spirit as being your soul that is no longer inside a human body.
Good answer. That is the last of our questions. So we've got about 15 minutes to go. When we can go wherever you like to go, Micky. And then if someone else has a question, just raise your hand. Feel free to. I just have a question. Okay, this is about, we have a question coming in too, but it's like exercise. Sometimes the hardest thing for us to do is to put on our sneakers or trainers and get out the door. And then once we're there, we're fine. Is it the same thing with this? Just hardest thing might be to get the pen and the paper.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it's the same with meditation, really. It's the days that you really don't feel like doing it is the day you need to do it the most. You know, and it's the same with this, that letter to the soul. The day you really don't want to do it is probably the day you need to do it the most. And it's your ego, it's your mind that's jumping in going, don't go there. We don't want you to look at that. Avoid it at all costs. Move away. Nothing to see here. And it's like, you know, and it's like, actually,
I know that voice.
I do need to look at this, but we avoid it. I did it for all the time that battle within was going on within inside me. I kept looking the other way and getting busy with other things because it was too painful to look at. It was too painful to address it and to explore it and to unpack it.
But when we know that we have our best friend who's greeting us with loving arms, who's going to make it all better, how could we be afraid?
Yeah.
We have Eva here.
And can I just say very quickly, it's also very important to understand that it's just as important to sit within that pain and to sit within that darkness, because sometimes it just needs to be felt. And the best friends that we can have at that time is somebody who's prepared to sit into that darkness with us and not try to fix it, not try to question it, just to allow it to be and to just be there with love and support.
Very nice.
So,
okay, Eva, hello.
Yes, hello. Thank you so much for this. It was beautiful. I have a question. Do you ever connect to your guides when you write letters to your soul?
sometimes, yeah, sometimes very much so. I mean, sometimes a guide will very much sort of like come in very strong over my shoulder and give me a nudge in the right direction, or to give influence or to inspire. So, I mean, it's another way. There are no limitations to the way you can use the letters to your soul. So if you want to write that letter to your guides, your team, that lovely soul team that surrounds you and works with you on a daily basis, nothing's going to stop you from doing that. It's just a way of connecting. If we're busy writing, we're not thinking too much.
That's really nice. And we don't talk too much about our guides. Do we need to know who they are to communicate with them?
Personally, I would say there's a few guides that I know because over the years I've come to know them and who they are. But I believe for them it's not important. They don't care if you know who they are or not. They just care that you feel their presence and you feel their love and you feel their support and that you feel them with you, helping you. The same way as I know there's a whole team that come in and work with me when I'm working. Do I need to know who every single one of them are? I just know that they come from love and I accept them with love and I trust.
Oh, that's really nice. Thank you. I had someone do a meditation once, and we actually visualized going into a room, and it was a group of people sitting in a circle. I was one of those people. And then I got to look to see who the other people were. And some were faceless guides, and then some were people from history, and then some were my own loved ones that were there.
Yeah.
And I just think that might be, yeah, that might be something we can play with. And there's no, I think coming from you, Micky, there's no right or wrong way.
No, there isn't. It's about, for me, the spiritual journey, if you like, is a multitude of doors, and we just have to try out different keys to find which one opens our door. Because I can guarantee you, my front door key does not open your front door.
That's a good thing. We have a question. How is this different from automatic writing, or do you do automatic writing?
So automatic writing, the way I understand automatic writing is when we allow spirit to very much blend with us. And like a medium will give messages and information from a spirit person, a loved one that's passed on, then automatic writing is allowing that spirit person to write through us. So they're not our thoughts, but they're not our soul's thoughts either. They're a separate entity's thoughts, and we are just the channel to allow that automatic writing to take place. And we're writing their words, not ours.
Thank you.
So that would be the difference for me.
Thank you. We have Shirley here. Hello, Shirley.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome.
It was a question that I had when you first started, and it was that everything continues when we're outside of our human body. And it got me thinking, what's the purpose of being human if everything continues? Is it that our soul can't hug or touch? So as humans, if we learn here, we're here to learn, and then we learn when we're no longer in our human body. It might be an innocent question. I don't know. What is the purpose of our humanness?
So our journey here is very much, we are spirit, we are a soul having a human experience. And, we get to feel the depths of grief. We get to feel hurt and pain. We get to feel, to understand the empathy and to grow with our love. And we, over there, it's so consuming with love, and even any of that negativity or that sadness that is felt from them, which I describe in another of my within my book. But they're just pushing back with love. They're just allowing it to just push back with love. Here, we experience that building those barriers around us. We experience that pain, that depth of pain, and we experience curling up in a ball in the corner and not wanting to deal with it, and having to learn to grow from that and move from that and evolve from that. For me, it's a bit like, saying, why do kids go to school? They go to school. So in this way, this is kind of like school for our soul. We're here to learn the things that we can only learn here in a human body, in a physical body.
Oh, thank you very much. And I know from myself, and just speaking to some others that I know are here, and even if I don't know your story, some of the toughest times sets us on our spiritual path. It goes looking for questions, looking for answers to our questions, and they would not have come had I not experienced the pain. And it's almost like, when they say too much of a good thing is not a good thing.
Yeah.
When you have just everything. I had a friend of mine who literally was a mega millionaire. He gave to friends. He just had the life of luxury. But then that became normal, and his soul was sad.
Yeah.
He kept his money, but he gave up that lifestyle. He made his life about service, and that gave him life.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many people that like, if I only had this, I'd be happy. If I only had this, I'd be happy. If I only earned this much money, I'd be happy. And none of it. It's filling a void. All the time we're filling a void. We're searching. And I think our souls, when we're here, are constantly searching. We're looking to fill that void within us. And that can only be filled by going within and learning about self and becoming of service.
Oh, thank you, Micky. Here's a question from Janice, and this might be a way to sum it all up because we're approaching the end of this part. What is the most important thing you've learned from this process? Is it mostly about self-growth? And do you have a book on this topic yet?
I only have the one book. If I'm honest, I think I would say one of my biggest things that I've learned is that connection with everything, and to understand that fear can only rule if we allow it to. And it's understanding that we are connected, therefore I must trust. Therefore I must trust my soul and my journey. But I don't think we ever stop learning. So right now, that might be what I feel is my strongest thing that I've learned. But ask me 6 months down the line, it might be something different. Because the journey of learning never stops.
Thank you. And you know, you use that 4-letter word, F-E-A-R. Could we add to your list of letters we could write about fear in times?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is no limitation. And we can write a letter to our fear. Hey, I know you're there. And I know you're just trying to keep me safe. But it's okay. I've got this. Hold my hand. I will see you through. And I appreciate you and I love you for being there to keep me safe. But we don't have to hold ourselves back from this. Let me show you the way. If we step through that fear, we will grow within our comfort zone. Our comfort zone will become bigger. Stand with me on the ledge. When I take that step off, see how we fly. And if we don't fly, I guarantee you there's a soft landing. It's sometimes about that, you know, our vehicle. I always just talk about this body as being our vehicle to get our soul around. And fear likes to be in the driver's seat. Fear likes to sit in that driver's seat and decide which way we're going, what's playing on the radio, and how we're going to travel to that destination. And, you know, it's about saying to fear, you can ride with me, but you have to sit in the back seat. You're not allowed to touch the sat nav. And you're not allowed to choose what we listen to on the radio. But you're more than happy to come along for the ride.
Oh, that's great. And, this is just a little tidbit on fear. Have you ever noticed that once you're courageous and start doing the thing you were afraid of, fear can't exist in the same time when you're taking action. So when you're present in it, it's not there. So fear is a pain in the neck. There's a good word for that I'm not going to use here. But it is. Now, I'm going to ask you just on the spur of the moment, could you talk a little bit about writing a letter to ourselves about maybe what we could learn about this situation, being many of us are still housebound, and maybe asking our soul. And I know for many of us, it's a curse having COVID-19.
Yeah.
And we're not able to work, but could we ask our soul how it's a blessing for us?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we can also look at and be able to express our frustration with the situation. And we can express our frustration and say, you know, I don't like it that I can't see my loved one and hug them and hug my mum, my kids, my, you know, whoever it may be, our best friend, or and I'm frustrated at that. But what can I learn while I'm in this situation? This being stuck inside is out of my control. But what's in my control? Hey, soul, how can we do what we need to do to make us okay? What's in our control? And hey, this is giving a lot of people an opportunity to be able to sit and have that time to explore their soul. But it's also that opportunity to be able to say, wow, I'm really feeling fearful today. What is that fear about? And why am I allowing fear to rule the day when this situation is out of my control? So how can I ease that? hey soul, what can we do to make this okay, to feel better about this? And what can we do to make this situation benefit us? It's about thinking differently. And sometimes I know there's a lot of people, you know, our businesses are changing, the way we work changing, and it's fearful. Hey, you know, I've already said, I'm really nervous about demonstrating because I've never demonstrated online before. But we've got to feel that fear and say it's okay and step through it and give it a go, and, you know, and try those things. So is this situation giving us a way of looking outside of the box? How can we do things differently? Is there a way we can do our business differently, live our lives differently? How many of us have taken the time to realize that we were on the run non-stop, running from here to there, thinking about this, gotta go and do this, gotta go and do this, gotta go and do this, this person needs me, I just rush over to their house, and it's a merry-go-round. But this situation has forced us to sit back and to slow things down and to take things at a bit of a slower pace, because there's no other choice.
No other choice. Micky, we're going to close, and everyone, we're going to close this portion. Just for people who tuned in late, well, thank you everyone for being here. First of all, Micky's website is mickyhavelock.com. And sometime a little bit later, I will send you the video replay link, a link to her book if you'd like to get a copy of that. It's on Kindle and paperback as well. And also to the episode 339 with me on We Don't Die Radio, because there's so much more. Oh my gosh, it's so good. So I want to thank everyone who's come in for Letters to Your Soul. Thank you for being here. For those who are willing to stay on, Micky is stepping into her fear. And as we know, times are changing. And many of the mediums out there no longer have the opportunity of doing what they do and demonstrating in churches. And even though I know she's doing online readings and she can do them that way, but not working with a group of people. So if everyone is willing to send lots of thoughts of love and be here to support Micky for her very first time working an online room of people, because normally she's in front of live people. You can see people raise their hand and there's communication. And here it's just a little different. Now, loved ones are the same. They're all around us.
Yeah.
Mediumship is the same. So she can still tap into these people. And your loved ones are not energy. They are people. They are people living, I call it the hereafter, because they're just vibrating at a different rate. So they can easily pop over to Micky in her house, and they're easily over with you in your house, all at the same time. It's really, really magnificent. The difference is when we're working with one of these online rooms, the medium, Micky in this case, will tune into her person, her loved one for one of us, and get some bits of information. So she'll share that information. What makes it different is it takes a moment for you guys to find your online hand that looks like this. And if you can recognize all of this information, you can press that hand, and then we'll try to narrow it down whose loved one this is. And then it takes a minute for me to press, the right button so you can come in and actually talk with Micky. So if you're willing to be part of this and send lots of love Micky's way, I know we are here and we love her. And we really thank you for the last sharing so beautifully your message and from your book and everything. We love you, Micky, and I'm so glad you're part of the We Don't Die family. So we're going to leave this up to you. You know your medium children more than we, and we're just all people. We're just sitting at our computers or on our mobile phones or tablets.
Let me just take a few minutes and let's just switch that connection over.
Absolutely.
Let's just, we know that connection is there. We trust that connection is there. We know that our loved ones are desperate to reach out to us. Come forward. Do you know, I've got a wonderful lady that steps forward here, and I know that with her that she feels to me that she's a mother, and I know that she's a mother, but I also know that she would be a grandmother. And the reason why I know that she's a grandmother is I feel that she has a granddaughter that would be the other side with her. So I'm looking for somebody who would understand a mother that is in the spirit world that would also have your daughter with her, because she feels to me that she's got this wonderful young girl energy around her, with her right now. Mum also feels to me like she would have passed with heart issues as well, because I feel a very strong connection around my heart issue. So does anybody understand that so far?
We do have a hand. We have two hands up, actually.
Okay. All right. Okay. Come on, sweetheart. Let's decide which one this is. All right. Now, you must understand that Mum passed with heart condition, because I know here that I've got heart issues around with Mum. And I know that granddaughter here would be your daughter, her granddaughter. I only want her to be around 11. She's given me around 11.
Okay, we have no hands. We went from 2 to no.
Fabulous.
Fabulous.
Fabulous. That's absolutely fine. If I've got the age wrong, I don't want her to be, if I've got the age of 11 wrong, then I want 11 to be important and a significant, whether it be a month or a day, that would be, or a number that is significant for her, because 11 just keeps being put in front of me all the time. 11. So I have a mother who has passed with a heart condition, and I do feel that Mum would have suffered with this heart condition, and it would have been something that would be an issue for her on and off, and it would be issues that she'd been dealing with for several years before passing.
I'd like to bring Kathy in to talk to you.
Okay, all right.
Kathy, you're going to be joining as what's called a panelist. So it just takes a second, and then I have to unmute you. Hello, Kathy. You might have to unmute yourself, Kathy. Technology. There you are. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Kathy.
I'm not. Can I just say what I got to see if I'm the right person?
So let me just go back through what she's giving me. You would understand a mother in the spirit world, please, and a mother that would have passed with a heart issue.
Heart and lungs.
Okay, but you would understand that their underlying condition was heart, and she would have suffered with heart issues for several, I want to say several years actually, on and off, leading up to her passing.
Like, I have to say it's both heart and lungs.
Okay, all right, okay. But if you, okay, all right. But would you also understand that there would be a granddaughter, so your daughter would be over there with her?
Actually, it's my sister's daughter, and her birthday is the 11th. That's why I chimed in.
Okay, all right. Then I apologize for misinterpreting that piece of information, but I know that as grandmother is here, I know that she has her granddaughter with her, and I know the number 11 is important to her. So, okay, come
right,
on then,
that's
sweetheart.
her mother's birthday.
Okay, okay. And you also understand that there must have been some sort of celebration that's been going on around now, or some sort of anniversary that would be taking place around now. Or if it's not right now, it's in the very soon distant past or future, very close around, because the feeling that they come in with is this celebration and the need to be close to you all. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And a need to reach out. Now, do you understand the name Lily? If it's not the name, I want the name Lily. Do you understand Lily?
I have one very close to it.
Oh, okay, okay. That would sound just like Lily.
Leilani.
Leilani.
No?
Would she have been called Lil? Do people affectionately refer to her as Lil?
Not that I know of.
Okay, okay, all right. Because I've just got this name Lily that just keeps going. And if it's not, do you know what? The more I hear this Lily, if it's not the name, that I want it to be the flower to be significant. Do you understand this? There must be a love of lilies, especially white lilies.
I'm not positive.
Do you understand with your mum liked her garden?
Yes.
And it was all about the colors and brightness, and it feels to me like mum is somebody who wouldn't have like the neat little pots everywhere, but would have a ton of color and a ton of flowers all kind of like mushed in together in a flower bed. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Because I you know, the way she's making me feel is, I like this, I'm gonna find a space for it. I like this flower, I'm gonna find somewhere to put it. Because she just enjoyed it for what it is. And it didn't matter to her that everything had to be in its place and very neat and tidy. Do you understand this?
Yes.
And at the same time, I want to say that mum would also be like that in life. Mum wasn't somebody who really necessarily worried about everything being meticulous and in detail, but she was much more of an emotional mum who liked to just love and be loved and to have fun with everybody. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, all right, come on then, sweetheart. Now, do you understand that the granddaughter, this would be your niece then, that would be with your mum? I don't feel that she's been over for a long time. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Because the way she makes me feel is that the young one here has not been over for years and years and years.
Oh no, she hasn't.
And this is, it's quite sort of new. And do you understand as well that she would want to reach out to her mum, because her mum still suffers a lot with the grief that she feels of not having her physical presence around?
Yeah.
Because she's really making me feel that your sister needs a lot of love and care right now. That makes sense to you?
Yeah.
And again, she brings again this need for this celebration or this anniversary that's coming up that I know is significant, and I know at the same time that it would mean that it's really making her mum, your sister, think much more about the grief that she carries around. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I can't think of when her birthday is, my niece's birthday. But my mom's birthday is this week. And my mom's birthday, I'm sorry.
But at the end of the day, you would understand that this is it's those celebrations that mean a lot to your sister. It's when those things come in. Your sister's very sentimental. Do you understand this?
Yeah.
Because the way this beautiful young girl, and she is a vibrant young girl. Do you understand that your niece is a vibrant character? She's somebody who very much sort of like was very active, very busy, very much full of the zest of life. Do you understand that?
I wasn't real close to her, so I'm not sure.
Okay, all right, okay. She makes, I don't know whether you can find out and ask maybe your sister, because she makes me feel that she liked to have a good time. There's a lot of similarities that I feel here between your mum and your niece. You know, it's just needing to have fun, to enjoy ourselves. Your mum really liked to look at the good side of life, right?
Yeah.
And she just liked to see the positive in everything, almost to a fault, almost to the fault of she liked to see the good in everybody, and therefore didn't always see the times to be cautious of someone.
Definitely.
Because Mum makes me feel here that she would have sometimes been taken advantage of because of her kind nature, because of the way she is. And it's just that needing to see that positivity. And again, this is the message that very much they want to bring through. They want to bring through that love. They want to bring through that joy of life. And they want to bring through the positivity. And it feels very much to me that this is what's so much needed right now, is that upliftment, especially for your sister. Now, do you not always have communication with your sister? Is there like a distance between you and your sister?
Yeah, we don't talk.
But
and I was just talking about her this morning.
Because it's that I kind of the way they make me feel is they kind of want to scoop you both up and put you in the same room together and kind of go, nothing's that bad, push back with love. And it's about, are you going to be brave enough to be the first one to reach out?
Yes.
And it's almost that gentle encouragement that very much comes through from your mum and your niece, very much kind of trying to push you to be that brave and reach out and just push back with love. Do you understand?
Yep, I do.
So can I leave their love with you and ask you to think on that?
Oh, I will. Thank you so much.
And to be brave. Thank you. Thank you for working with me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Micky. And thank you, Mom and niece.
Okay. All right. Who have we got here? I feel like I've got Dad here. And this gentleman that comes in makes me feel like he would have had a military connection. There would have been military in his background. But he makes me feel that boxing would have been a big part of that, because he keeps showing me a photograph of himself in these rather jazzy boxing shorts and bare-chested, and these lovely boxing gloves. But it would have been something that he would have picked up and started doing. And it makes me feel that he would have started doing this when he was in the military, that he started doing that, but he would have continued it even after coming out of the military.
Oh, very good. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would recognize this gentleman, if you would raise your hand.
No hands?
Not yet.
Okay, all right. But he keeps showing me, the boxing is really important, because I keep seeing these boxing shorts and I keep seeing the boxing gloves. And I know that there must be a photograph of Dad in this boxing gear. And very much, hold on. Come now. If this isn't father, I might have that slightly wrong, that it's father. It might be grandfather. But if it's grandfather, I want grandfather to be on the father's side of the family. Can anybody understand it in that context as a grandfather?
We have Drew. So let me
Okay.
bring Drew in.
Okay. All right.
Just one second. Hello, Drew.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi.
Thank you.
Hi.
I've never seen a picture of my grandfather with boxing, but I've heard stories that he was a boxer.
Okay. Because the thing is, he would really he's making me feel like he would really kind of show off about this. So the stories that must be told is because he loved to tell the stories of his boxing experiences, because he loved to kind of almost brag about those boxing experiences.
I could imagine, yeah.
And how he defeated this one, and how he dealt with this one. And would you understand a military connection with him as well, please?
Well, my grandfather served in World War I, and in the military, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because there's also, he makes me feel that with this military connection, there would be medals And he was also very proud of that. This is a very proud man. And as well as being incredibly proud about himself, he's very proud about his family, and he's very proud about his achievements. Do you understand this?
Yeah, so I do. Yeah.
But also very proud about now. Do you know, this is interesting because he makes me feel that he would be very proud about his family. He'd want to kind of brag about his family and tell stories and tell people about his family. But at the same time, I feel with him that there's also this element of he's not always so emotionally open. He's not always so emotionally available. Does that make sense to you?
Well, I never met him. He died before I was born. So that makes sense on one level that he could be proud. But, you know, in spirit, you know, he could be proud in spirit. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. But you've heard stories about him. Obviously, family members have spoken about him to you.
Right.
And I understand that they've spoken to you about the boxing and about this. Do you ever understand that he would sometimes, it's that military kind of, I can't think of the right word. It's that military kind of wanting to always be in control of everything and having everything in order. Everything has to be structured and everything has to be in order. Do you understand this as stories that you would have heard from him? Because obviously I understand that.
I don't understand that, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen, you know.
Okay, all right. Well, that's not good enough for me. That's not good enough for me. I want him to be able to give me what's going to make sense for you from what you've heard. Now, I know that you haven't seen a photograph of him, but was there ever a talk about a competition that he won where there was a photograph of him of a boxing tournament or something that he won?
No, I have no memory right now. But that, you know, sometimes memory just is elusive, you know, now.
And that's that's fine. That's okay. But, okay, come on then, sweetheart. But would you understand Dad's in spirit as well, please?
Yes, Dad's in spirit.
Because, do you know, as grandfather kind of like is stepping here, I feel like Dad is stepping in. Because as I'm asking Granddad to sort of like, you know, come on now, give me that information that you're going to understand, Dad kind of steps in. Okay. And Dad must have had your grandfather's medals. Do you understand this?
No, he wanted my grandfather's medals, and they went to his brother. And he expressed his sadness about that. Yeah,
then I apologize for my misinterpretation of the way, because your dad's bringing me to the medals. And I have this strong feeling with Dad about those medals. So it's my misinterpretation that he had the medals. So he wanted the medals.
But he had strong feelings about those medals. Yeah.
Yeah, because your dad was a very proud man as well. Do you understand?
Yes.
Your dad was somebody who very much was a very proud man, and was very important to your dad was family, but also about how his family was viewed by others. Does that make sense to you?
Well, it makes sense and
it's kind of like he's very do you know, I want to say that your dad's very strict but in a loving way. Does that make sense?
He's very rigid in a loving way, I would say. Yes.
It's that he has very much that sort of that sense of looking at things in a certain way, and that's his way of looking at it, and nothing's really going to sway him one way or the other. If he's decided that this is how things are, this is how he sees them, nothing's going to change that or alter that for him.
I agree with that.
But at the same time, there's this huge amount of love that comes from him. He's an incredibly loving man.
Yes.
And he absolutely adored your mum. Do you understand this?
Yes. Yeah.
Because there's a feeling here that really comes about wanting to protect because this is another side of your dad, really needing to protect his nest, his family, and to make sure that you all, would you understand as well that when you started dating, that dad was very opinionated about who you would be seeing?
Yes.
And had very strong ideas on what type of man would be suitable for you?
He didn't express that to me, no.
Okay, all right, then right, hold on then. Let me find out why I'm seeing it that way. Because the way he makes me feel is that as he's coming in here, that there was, oh, okay, all right. So he would have not necessarily agreed with your life partner at the beginning. He was always somebody it takes some time to warm up to.
Yes.
Does that make sense? He's not somebody who would readily embrace somebody into the family. He needs time to really kind of like get to know them, to know that he trusts them, and to know that that they're very much there with him. You must understand with dad as well, please, there must be a photograph of your dad, because he keep getting these photographs being put in front of me, and there must be a black and white photograph of your dad looking very dapper.
Oh yeah, my dad liked to have photographs where he looked dapper. Yes.
because I just feel that within this photograph everything's very staged, and I've got to make sure that I'm standing in the right way, that my profile's in the right way, that my suit is all, you know, strapped down, and that everything's made sure that everything's in place. And would you understand a handkerchief or something that would stick out of his top pocket as well, please?
I have a vague memory, but it's not specifically coming into mind, but it's possible. Yeah.
Okay, because he just keeps showing everything has to be in place, and even this that's sort of poking out of my pocket here, I need to make sure that I've got it, you know, just correct in an order and just right, and that it's just sat just right. And it's just this feeling of this pleasure of having my photograph taken and making sure that I'm just so.
I could imagine that. Definitely.
But what a dapper. I mean, he really does dress to impress.
Yes.
And is always very dapper. Everything's very put together. Everything's very on point.
Yes.
And very color coordinated with your dad as well.
Yes.
He's very much a man of detail.
Yes.
And it's interesting because they both make me feel that you've been struggling with this situation that we're in. Can you relate to that?
I don't feel like I've been struggling more than others, so.
Okay, I'm not saying it's necessarily more than others, but they're just making me feel, they're making me feel the need to come in around you, to just give you that extra support right now, because you like to get out there and to be connected with people, but at the same time you like your own space.
Yes. Yes, I totally get that. Yeah.
You're very happy to go out and socialize and be with people, but you're also very happy to walk into the door and shut the front door and
that's me.
And we're done. Thank you very much.
Yes.
But they're making me feel that actually being inside, you find that enjoyment, but you're starting to really miss that personal connection with people, and having that time to be able to step out and just spend time with friends and loved ones.
Yes.
And that's very much how they come in around, to just sort of like give that support and to really just kind of it's upliftment. It's constantly just wanting to surround you with love. You must have been thinking about them recently a lot more than normal.
Thinking about my dad, but not necessarily my grandfather. Yeah.
Oh, well, grandfather doesn't want to be left out.
Yeah. I don't blame him.
I'm here. I don't want to be left out. But you must have been thinking a lot more about dad recently than you would normally, because I know that he makes me feel that dad would be on your mind quite often.
Yes.
And you'll often think of him as things go on during the day. But he also makes me feel that recently you've been thinking a lot more about him.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And he wants you to know that he's very much aware of those thoughts and is very much with you when you're thinking of him and wanting to just scoop you up and to just wrap you in his arms again, really.
Yeah.
Because he did like a hug, your dad.
Yeah.
Didn't he? He did like a hug.
Yeah.
And he just wants to give you a big smushy hug.
Yeah.
And with that, I'm going to leave his love with you and your
Okay.
grandfather's.
Thank
Okay?
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Drew and the men in your life there. And thank you, Mickey.
You're welcome. I'm
Your side.
very aware it's 9 o'clock and I'm very aware that I've suddenly gone dark. Hello,
That's right. We can hear
still
you.
here.
We can hear you.
Oh my goodness, where are my lights? Oh, hold on a second. I'm very aware of the time as well, Sandra, because it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah. Are you willing to do one more and then we'll call it a night for you?
Yeah, hold on a second. Let me just find some plug-in so that I am.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for staying on board and supporting Mickey. Even though there might be just a few people that come through, rest assured your loved one's right by your side. Oh, there you are.
There I am. Oh my goodness me. Oh dear. Oh, that's a bit harsh and bright, isn't it? Yes, I'm sorry. This is very a novel way of doing things. I'm not used to this way of working, but
excellent though. And I just think it's a labor of love for you. It's reuniting with spirit world, giving the rest of us hope that our loved ones are around.
Absolutely. Okay, where are we going here? Where are we going here? Oh, really? Okay. Does somebody understand? I want a gentleman here that would have worked on the bins, would have worked in refuge or on the rubbish bins, the rubbish carts, because he gives me this feeling of jumping up onto the back of the rubbish cart and collecting the rubbish. Does anybody understand?
With someone?
A gentleman that would have worked on the
Yes.
bins,
We have a yes right away from Cynthia.
Okay.
Cynthia, just give it
Okay.
about 5 seconds. And there's also someone else that also recognizes this. Oh, there's 3 people now, but I have Cynthia. We'll start with Cynthia. How's that? Is that all right?
Okay. Let's start with Cynthia. Okay.
Hello,
let's
Cynthia.
start with Cynthia. Hi. You understand a gentleman that would have worked on the bins, please?
He didn't work, but he did rummage through them.
Well, I've got to say that I can't change the fact that I really see him hopping up onto the back of a rubbish cart and like jumping up onto the back of the trucks and kind of like putting his foot on the foot plate and hanging on as the truck goes a bit further down the road.
Okay, so, that won't be me.
Okay, because I can't change that. I really do feel that this gentleman worked on the bins and would very much work on the trucks, the bin trucks.
Now there are 2 other participants here that can take this information. Do you want me to bring them both in?
Okay. Okay, so let's wheedle this down. So I know that I have this gentleman and I know that he works on the bins. And now I don't, no, I can't say that. Because he feels that he's somebody that we would know, but isn't necessarily family member. He doesn't make me feel that he's a family member. He feels more of a friend that feels like family, but isn't blood family. So
okay. We are down to 1. Yep.
Okay. All right.
And
okay.
The name is Roy and Maggie, so I don't know if we have Roy, Maggie, or we have both. Hang on just a second.
Oh my goodness.
Roy and Maggie?
Hello?
Oh, they're on mute on their side. You may have to unmute yourself. on your side. Hello? Oh, we've got a poor connection. Don't we hate when that happens? And on my side, they're unmuting and muting and keep trying.
Oh, bless.
I know, this is what it looks like, Mickey, in the world of the internet.
The joys of internet connection, hey. Well, I can honestly tell you, I know Roy and Maggie, so I can always call them afterwards and give them the information.
Okay.
Because I do know Roy and Maggie, but I wouldn't know of them knowing a binman.
Well, I can hear them saying hello, hello, but it almost sounds like a Mickey Mouse voice, like a,
Yeah.
there's a problem with the connection.
It's like oh, what a shame.
I know. But
What a shame.
If we're going to learn, we need to have breakdowns here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it just sounds like a,
yeah, it's just jumbled up, isn't it?
Like Chip and Dale
Yes.
from Disney.
Scrambled.
Well, would you like to save that communication sentence?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I will call them afterwards and relay that information, because he's Tom for a reason.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Should we see if there's someone else around?
Why not?
Okay. Come on then. All right. Let's see where we're going here. Do you know, I've got a lady here, and instantly what comes to me is a name, and as she steps in here, I hear the name Pearl. So somebody must understand a lady here with the name Pearl, or that Pearl would be associated with her, and she feels to me like she would be an aunt. She has a very aunt feel about her. I feel like I want to reach out, but I don't want to be an actual parent. She feels like she would be auntie and Pearl.
We do have a hand up.
Okay, all right, let's bring them in.
This is Laurice, and give just a few moments for her to pop in to our virtual room. Hello, Laurice. Let's see if we can unmute you.
Go. Okay.
Hi. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you.
Hi. Would you understand an auntie in the spirit world, please? And would you understand the name Pearl?
I had two aunts in the spirit world named Pearl. One of them was a great aunt, and the other one was an aunt, and they were on opposite sides of the family.
Okay. All right. Well, I feel that I'm with Aunt Pearl. Because this is how she makes me feel. And do you understand that with Aunt, she is such a character.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It's almost like we
Absolutely.
look forward. You know, it's almost like as a family. I imagine if I had an Aunt Pearl like this, I would look forward to her coming to visit, because of the character of this lady.
Yeah.
She has such an amazing sense of humor, and she just does. Do you know, she's funny without trying to be. Do you understand?
Yeah, that's a really good description of her. Yes, exactly.
It's like being funny without trying to be.
Yeah,
that's
exactly right.
It's just the way she is. She gets the wrong words. She'll use the wrong expression to express something which completely changes the meaning of what we'd be talking about, which would just have everybody in fits of laughter, and falling about all over the place, and she'd get muddled very easily. Do you understand this?
Yeah, I think I don't remember that so much, but it might have happened when she got older, because she was.
So when I'm talking about getting muddled, so it's getting muddled with my words, it's getting muddled with the way,
right, just getting tangled up, because
yeah, absolutely. And it's things like, do you know, if something's going to happen, it's going to happen to her. If we're going to put a chair down and it's accidentally over a ditch, an overgrown ditch, she's going to be the one that sits on that chair and disappears down the ditch. You know, it's she just really is this kind of character that everything she does, there's just so much laughter to be had with her. And she's the type of person as well, she's making me feel like she would have put things down and then we can't find them. She's not really sure where she's put them.
Yeah.
And
organize it.
No, not at all. And you know, as you said, she opens her handbag for me, and her handbag is a bit like a Mary Poppins treasure trove. We'd have to kind of rummage around in there to find anything because nothing's in any order.
She and her husband ran a dime store, and you never ever knew what she was going to have with her in her handbag or anywhere else. I mean, anything it could have been.
It literally is the Mary Poppins bag. As I open this bag, it's just a treasure trove of things. And the funniest thing is she has this mentality that it's like, don't throw anything away because you never know when it's going to be useful.
Yeah.
Do you understand this? I mean, she's a little bit of a hoarder, and she makes me feel that as well as her handbag, her cupboards would be full of all these array of different things just in case we need them.
Oh yeah.
And just in case somebody else needs them, she'll have it. But she's got so much warmth and love with her as well. She's one of those people that just loves life and loves people. Do you understand this?
Oh yes.
In so many ways. I mean, you've already told me that she runs a dime store. You've given me that information. But one of the greatest loves for her, one of the greatest passions for her about, you know, running that dime store is the people. Do you understand this? The different people.
Yeah, she interacted with everybody. Yeah.
She knows everybody's story. She interacts with them. She knows all about them. She finds out about their lives, and she remembers everything about them as well. The next time that customer will come back in, she'll say, "Oh, how's your granddaughter? Oh, how's your dog?" Or, you know, your dog Bertie or whatever. She would remember this information because people for her is what's so important. And she just loves that connection and people. And do you understand as well that her husband who would be your uncle, was in so many ways, I mean, he's got a lovely bright smile. He's also in the spirit world, correct?
Yes.
And he's got this smile about him and this warmth about him, but she's the boss. Do you understand?
Oh yeah. He was kind of quiet, I mean, compared to her. And you know, that's a good,
absolutely.
That's nice.
Yeah, he's got this wonderful character, this beautiful smile, these twinkly eyes. He's got a softness about him, but she's the boss. She's very much in control. If there's a story to be told, she's the one that's going to tell it. And he might start the story off, but I'm guaranteeing you she's going to finish it. And she's going to be the one that will jump in because he's not telling it right. Do you understand? Yeah. He's not telling it right, and he missed this bit out, and you need to make sure that you get this bit, because your aunt is one of these wonderful characters that if she's got to explain a story, she has to go all around the houses and tell you every little bit of detail about it. Because we can't just get to the point. You have to know the ins and outs of everything to really get that story from her. And he was much more of a get to the point kind of man. He was much more sort of like everything is done with a logical kind of understanding, and well, we just do this and get this done. But no, she's got to come in because he's missed out the detail. He's missed out the detail. And she keeps bringing me back to this detail. This detail is what keeps coming through, because you must at the moment be paying attention to detail around you right now. Because she's making me aware that she's watching a detail that you need to be paying attention to.
Interesting.
You're not sure about that?
No.
Okay, hold on a second then. She needs to explain that a bit more. I'm going to pull my, I'm going to pull my trousers up and get myself all, because she just feels like, she's like, you need to pay attention to the detail. Do you know there's some similarities that you have with your aunt, and can I say organization might be one of them?
Oh, I wouldn't say so. I'm a pretty organized person.
You're the organized one.
Yeah.
So who's the one around you that isn't organized? Because she keeps bringing me to this disorganization. Now, okay, why do you keep bringing me to that? And it's paying attention to the detail. There's something that's not fully organized right now that kind of needs to be paid attention more to. Okay,
Wow,
hold on. You need to show me exactly what that is, my love, then. Because there's like a clearing out. Have you been clearing out cupboards recently?
No, but I've been sort of clearing. It's more of a mental thing. It's more of a psychological inner thing of clearing out.
So okay, so we're clearing out because I can't get away from this fact that I want to be clearing stuff out. And
I've been doing a lot of that lately.
Okay, now, so within this fact that it's a mental clear out and it's within yourself that you're doing this clearing out, it's paying attention to the smaller details that you don't necessarily think are important.
Ah, okay.
Do you understand that? Okay?
Yeah, I think so.
Because she can't, she's in my ear and it's just detail. We've got to get this detail. And she's like hammering me because I'm not getting it. I'm not explaining myself very well because I'm leaving out the detail because I'm not going all around the houses with the conversation. But she's talking about, so this clear out that you're doing, it's paying attention to the smaller pieces of detail that we don't necessarily think are important, but actually are. Oh, and she makes me think back as well to what we were talking about earlier with the letters to the soul and everything, and that time to rewrite everything down and pay attention to the detail of what comes through that you've missed, which you don't even realize you've missed.
I think that, I've been doing this for a couple of years, and I noticed that if I read something back that I wrote down a couple months ago, it amazes me. Yeah,
because now you're seeing a detail about that you weren't paying attention to at the time.
Yeah. And when I'm actually writing, I try to write as much detail as I possibly can, so that when I look back at it later, I'll, because anything might be important. So sometimes I hammer on stuff, because I want to make sure I get it all.
Yeah, because this is that necessity for detail, because she's also somebody it's about the detail. Because she just keeps banging on about it and driving it home. And there must be something that you wrote literally only, you've got to give it to me exact, lovely. I literally want 3 days ago, you must have written something.
Let's see. I think the last time I wrote was maybe Monday. So it would have been a little bit more than 3 days ago, but not much.
Then if it's, I can't take away that 3. If it's not 3 days, then it'd be 3 weeks. Okay, so if it's not 3 days, it will be my mistake. It's 3 weeks.
That could be.
You need to get that right. So go back and look at something you wrote 3 weeks ago, because there is something there within the detail that will also make you think of your Aunt Pearl.
Oh, all right.
Okay, so have a look at that. Have a look at that and let me know, will you? Because you know what's interesting? She makes me feel like she's been around you a lot recently and really kind of coming in a lot around you to kind of prompt you and kind of, it's like, remember these memories, remember the fun, the laughter, the good times.
Oh yeah, she used to host Thanksgiving every year for the family, and it was like crazy because her house wasn't that big, and we'd all like pile in and have a blast.
Absolutely. But again, it's that whole thing of, even at those events, like I said earlier, she would put something down and then not remember where she put it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And because she gives me, there must be a memory here that she would have made a drink for somebody that would have been at this gathering, and then she couldn't remember where she'd put it. It's like she makes me feel like she's gone off to get the mixer for it, and then we come back and we're not too sure whereabouts it is.
I don't even know, because I usually ran off with my cousin and didn't even pay attention to what else was going on after. after dinner, but you know what's kind of interesting about, speaking of drinks, this is, I don't know if this has anything to do with anything, but my Aunt Pearl was a tea drinker, and most of the rest of my family were coffee drinkers, and I turned out to be a tea drinker, although I wasn't planning to be. And I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but
well,
there
my
it
love,
is.
as we said earlier, there's a lot of similarities between you and your aunt that you're not even aware of yet.
Mhm.
But she just feels like she's been coming in around you a lot recently. So would you do that for me, my love? Would you go back and look at what you wrote
I sure
possibly
will.
3 weeks ago and look to see
Sure
what's
will.
written there that would make you connect with your Aunt Pearl? And you know, and just as I've said that, she's literally just given me that as much as she was a bit disorganized, etc., she always had pearls of wisdom in amongst this laughter.
Yes,
You
I would
understand
say
that she'd always have the right thing to say at the right time.
yeah.
What a lovely lady, and thank you for allowing me
Thank you so much.
to connect with her. So I'll leave her love with you.
Thank you, Aunt Pearl and Larice and Micky. And if it's all right with you, just because I know it's getting late, I think we should say our au revoir until we meet again. I want to thank Micky first and foremost for, you went through the fear, you felt fear, and you did it anyways. Thank you. Thank you for your love and your commitment to souls, both unseen and seen, so that we have the best life ever. And thank you for doing all the work you've done, being a medium, and the training and development and practice. And the online world certainly is different, but the love is not. So as long as we can be patient with these technology glitches and have a stand, I know the spirit world is working as hard as you are. So thank you so much, Micky. And
absolutely,
thank you to the spirit world, of course. And thank you to you, our listener, our viewer, wherever you are. Love is real. The afterlife is real. It is as simple as we close our eyes here, we open them up yet again when we take our last breath. Our loved ones are around, even our pets, cheering us on as we cross the finish line. But our life here matters, so we can get busy writing these letters to our soul and have the soul growth that our soul is yearning for. And I know it's not always easy. Coming up, we've got some really good things tomorrow. If you're free, we have what we call as our Sunday gathering. It's our non-denominational kind of church service online, where it's a celebration of life and the afterlife. So there's music and prayer and readings. Our special guest is Brian Smith from Grief to Growth. And our demonstrator of mediumship tomorrow is Carrie McLeod. On next Saturday, Carrie McLeod and Philip Dykes will be doing an online 90-minute demonstration of mediumship. And we hope Micky would love to join our We Don't Die family and do one in the future as well. We would love that, Micky.
Oh, it'd be my pleasure.
Oh, thanks so much. And so just in closing, everyone, I'll be sending you a replay link with a few other links to everything, so you don't need to go searching too far. But just know that you are important. Everything you're experiencing is so valuable for your soul. You have a best friend inside you, outside you, and that is our soul and the unseen world of loved ones and guides and things. So could be some of the best things are the most simple, and they don't cost a dime. And just get out that pen and paper and start writing and start playing with it. So with that, I'm going to say on behalf of Micky, the spirit world, your loved ones, and myself, Sandra Champlain, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. You're never alone. You're always loved, and your life matters. So with that, we're going to say goodbye or au revoir until we meet again.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.